Thanks for joining Veiled Mystic today as we examine the demon Amdusias. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this presentation. Amdusias, Demon Duke of Thunder and Music Origins. References to the powerful demonic entity known as Amdusias first appear in grimoires and magical texts from the medieval and Renaissance periods in Europe. The exact origins of Amdusias remain shrouded in mystery, though possible etymological connections link his name to various Indo-European sea and storm deities. Texts such as the Munich Manual of Demonic Magic, the Goetia, Keys of Solomon, and the Book of Abramelin variously classify Amdusias as a duke of hell or infernal spirit with dominion over music and trees. He reputedly commands 29 legions of lesser demons. His powers also connect to thunder, wind, and commanding human or animal obedience through magical song. While his mythological origins stay uncertain, medieval occult lore surrounding Amdusias grew quite vivid and foreboding. Conjuring this musical demon duke reputedly unleashed destructive thunderstorms or seductive melodies able to sway hearts in his occultist master's favor. Appearance and attributes. According to grimoires from the Renaissance, Amdusias manifests as a human-like figure with claws instead of hands and feet, red skin, blazing eyes, 2 small horns on his head, and the head of a unicorn. The unusual unicorn element marks Amdusias as a distinctly chaotic entity hard to categorize by traditional standards. As a symbolic creature prevalent in worldwide myths, the unicorn's presence conveys themes of wildness, healing, chaos, and dangerous purity not tamed by mortal hands. In some magical texts, Amdusias rides atop a black and white horse when conjured within a protective magical circle. The horse itself sometimes gets depicted as a unicorn as well. The demon duke reputedly possesses a sword inscribed with illegible characters and wears a golden crown. His sullen demeanor soon shifts to wild laughter once an occultist successfully summons him through rituals. When manifesting sonic powers, Amdusias uses a variety of brass, wind, and string instruments. His performances mix eerie piping melodies, thunderous cacophonies, and wordless choruses able to enchant or terrify mortal listeners. Powers and abilities. As a powerful infernal duke commanding 29 demon legions, Amdusias holds tremendous influence over thunder, wind, trees, and musical instruments. His attributed powers include conjuring destructive storms. Amdusias reputedly wields the ability to create thunder, lightning, wind, and rain at his master's request. Occult texts warn against allowing him to freely manifest his powers, as he could lay waste to entire forests or cities once unleashed. Magical music mastery. By playing blasphemous melodies on pipe organs, harps, horns, and other instruments, Amdusias sows chaos or inspiration as desired. His songs make trees uproot themselves and dance or induce insanity and compulsion in mortal listeners against their will. Shape-shifting skills. According to demonological records, Amdusias shifts between humanoid and unicorn-headed forms during conjuring rituals. He may take other shapes as well through his deceptive powers. Bestowing riches and fame, Amdusias holds the power to make those who serve him loyally renowned across the mortal realm for their artistic, musical, or literary talents as part of his occult pacts. His gifts come with a price, however. Commanding obedience. By playing particular notes or songs on special instruments, Amdusias can reportedly control the minds and actions of human or animal subjects. His power to dominate free will makes him valuable to sorcerers seeking servants, though dangerous to trust. Rituals and worship. While Amdusias features in various Renaissance-era manuals on demonology and the dark arts, little evidence supports existence of organized sects publicly worshipping him as a deity or overtly using his name in rituals. If occult groups did secretly worship Amdusias centuries past, they likely concealed such activity to avoid persecution from civil authorities or the church. However, clues found hidden in the manuals suggest rituals for safely summoning and commanding obedience from this stormy demon duke. Based on surviving instructions, key elements include ensuring isolation. The sorcerer must retreat to a private room or abandoned building far from other people to conduct the full ritual secretly. Soundproofing the space also proves vital later for keeping away the curious. Purification and preparation. The summoner must first purify body and garments to attract the demon without personal distraction. They prepare any offerings along with special ink, parchment, and consecrated instruments needed to control Amdusias within the protective circles. Summoning incantations. At precise astrological times, the occultist begins carefully pronouncing a complex incantation in Latin appealing to Amdusias in his remote infernal realm. Candles get lit and relics brandished to give the demon physical invitation into the mortal plane. Manifestation and commands. If successful, Amdusias will manifest within the ritual space as a flickering presence before solidifying into monstrous form with the sound of roaring wind. The summoner may then present demands or strike bargains. Banishing rites. Upon completing all acts, the ritual leader performs banishing rites including extinguishing candles and fumigating the space. Such cleansing concludes any link between Amdusias and the mortal plane, sending the demon back to hell through occult lock and key. While fearsome to conjure and command, ritual texts describe Amdusias as ultimately obeying the will of worthy occultists able to control him properly. But breaches in ritual practice or lapses of concentration gave the stormy demon opportunities for revenge against careless masters who failed to show him the highest respect. Historical infamy and legend. Although Amdusias rarely receives direct discussion as a demon figure or object of worship outside learned Renaissance-era writings on magic, his influence seems ubiquitous in European cultural history through allegory and metaphor. The uncontrolled forces which Amdusias represented, destructive thunderstorms, temptation through musical seduction, unharnessed chaos blowing through society, recurred as themes of plays, poems, church sermons, and moralizing folk tales aiming to reinforce spiritual values and social conformity. However, Amdusias himself gets directly mentioned in a handful of sensationalized witchcraft cases between 1450 to 1750 CE, when accusations of summoning dangerous infernal spirits could inspire panic. Some notable cases include the Trent Wizard, 1575. An old peasant man in northern Italy reputedly used pipes and drums to conjure storms that destroyed the same crops and structures over several seasons. He confessed under torture to making pacts with the demon gods Amdusias and Beelzebub to direct the devil winds against his enemies. He burned at the stake for heresy and witchcraft. The possessed nuns of Loudun, 1632, when Ursuline nuns began having fits, convulsions and visions of a priest naked and beckoning, authorities blamed Father Abongrandier. The sensationalized trial records by church officials contain alleged eyewitness accounts of Sister Agnes, the chief nun accuser, being secretly possessed during her spasms by Amdusias and other demons conspiring to undermine the convent under Grandier's orders. Faust's missing eyes, 1725. Long after the legendary German occultist Dr. Faust reputedly lost his soul to Mephistopheles by demonic deal, an account surfaced of the devil arranging for Faust to have his eyes gouged out by Amdusias as punishment for spying on Lucifer's court through unwelcome scrying magic. Faust learned even vision has its price. While written accounts likely exaggerated, embellished, or outright fabricated such salacious demonic elements for political aims or public thrill, the repeated invocation of Amdusias as a malefic supernatural bogeyman reveals enduring cultural anxiety around the symbolic chaos and sedition he represented. The legacy of chaos and rebellion. By the 18th century Enlightenment, educated mainstream society increasingly discounted literal belief in demons and magic spells. But metaphoric unease around Amdusias's mythic qualities, dangerous mysticism, vengeful nature, seductive artistic genius verging into madness, continued reimagining the Duke as a quintessential romantic outcast hero. Later fictional interpretations of entities symbolically echoing Amdusias appear in Gothic novels like Melmoth the Wanderer, French poetic works, Russian occult tales, German operas, and avant-garde films about lifestyles or personalities channeling intense, uncontrolled ferocity hostile to rational modernity. Symbolically, at least, sorcerous mysticism and chaotic revolt against established order thrived on. In the modern world, where science and psychology try explaining away ancient superstitions, the idea of conjuring Amdusias himself remains consigned to fanciful horror or conspiracy tales. Yet even in an age witnessing climate upheaval, political extremism, and destructive fights over cultural values, this mythic duke's legacy continues resurrecting wherever tempestuous disorder breaks out. Perhaps Amdusias, that great symbolic rebel angel against heavenly authority, acts today through the modern collective shadow. As unchecked chaos once more threatens the gates, the demon duke marshals his thundering steed and golden piping horn from timeless realms underneath. For while enlightened societies seal off superstition's dark cellars from polite view, the sound of restless hooves reputedly echoes up the buried stairwells still. The return of the repressed. While mainstream society may now reject belief in the literal existence of infernal spirits, the underlying psychic and cultural forces represented by a demon like Amdusias never faded away so easily. The legendary duke symbolically encapsulates the return of the repressed, extreme desires, urges, fantasies, and creative passions suppressed to construct civilized order and conformity. Yet no matter how securely the rational mind bolts the cellar door shut, the beast still screams from within the depths, raging to break free. In the worldview of analytical psychology pioneered by Carl Jung, Archetypes like Amdusias reflect the mythic dimensions of the collective unconscious shared by humanity. The demonic horseman leads the stampede of wild, unbridled instincts and intuition banished from waking awareness. But tense modern societies grappling with fragmentation, competing ideologies, invasive advertising, ecocide, and unrelenting pressure for productivity provide plenty of fodder. Today Amdusias and his ilk have much to feed upon, wherever segments of the population feel disenfranchised, creative, spontaneous, and weary of exploitative false order imposed from above. The demon duke's raging hooves stand ready to ride the building whirlwinds. Rebellion and resistance. Thus the mythic spirit of Amdusias continues resurrecting today, less through actual pacts with devils than metaphorically whenever raging discontent boils over into outright rebellion against various faces of perceived tyranny or injustice. Protest movements such as civil rights marches, anti-war rallies, Occupy sit-ins, and Extinction Rebellion gatherings pushing for radical systemic change often channel the pent-up catharsis and fury which Amdusias once embodied. Street violence, destructive riots fomented by tensions over police brutality, religious conflicts, economic crashes, or shortages of life essentials harken back to the mayhem which demonologies once warned occultist conjurers they may unwittingly unleash. Youth counterculture, with its embrace of shocking art, extreme music, risky intoxicants, sexual exploration, and flamboyant fashion in defiance of tradition, the perpetual youth quest for liberation cannot escape the hovering shadow of rebellious Amdusias goading convention's boundaries. Of course, most dissenters pursuing progressive change through civil disobedience stay nonviolent and law-abiding. But as sustainable equality, diversity, and environmental balance keep hitting corporate political barriers, the hoofbeats grow louder approaching society's walls. How world leaders address systemic oppression and existential crises in coming decades will help determine whether the gates ultimately hold against Amdusia's gathering storm or shatter completely to the blaring of riotous pandemonium's trumpet call. But the choice remains, issuing its ultimatum day by day. For now, artists, activists, and counterculture misfits raise fists skyward amid the squalls, amplifying through words, symbols, and courageous deeds the thunderclap call for justice sought by oppressed populations everywhere for centuries. Lightning flashes over raised knuckles, microphones, typewriter keys, spray paint nozzles, modern stormbringers all. And through the screaming guitars, shouted slogans, ringing church bells, and heartbeats felt down city alleyways pulses the mythic current of Duke Amdusias charging again across liminal plains between worlds, between legion demon armies and rainbow human marchers linked in solidarity against Babylon's looming walls. Where this brewing tempest finally blows across the unsustainable modern landscape may reap terrible fury or plant new seeds. But the choice remains for earthly powers: bow to the winds of radical change through wisdom now, or cling to fragile towers until inevitable collapse later. Amdusias awaits the outcome astride hell's threshold either way, and his laughing unicorn heads promise the future will prove most magical and wild beyond society's current imagining in the end.